Hello. I wrote this in response to last week's arrest of 6 young women in a Quaker meeting house by 20 Metropolitan Police officers who marauded through the whole building and terrified other community groups using the space. It's called Just Stop Justice. 20 brave officers smashed down a door. It wasn't locked, but what's the battering ram for? They had to gain entry to this Quaker church to detain 6 young women who weren't there doing what they should, like discussing slimming, but at an event advertised as a welcome talk, open to all, with no idea what might befall them when they dared to chat about a possible protest. Just talk about one. This is grounds for arrest. Yes, you heard me right, a conversation, I kid you not, expressing their concerns, sharing their views. Some might call it a plot. So the police stormed in, didn't wait to hear what was said. They dragged them handcuffed into custody instead. Let's get this clear. These were preemptive arrests. No crime yet committed. But gatherings like this cannot be permitted. Suspicion of conspiracy to cause a public nuisance, the charge. And we mustn't have people like that at large. So, these heavy-handed tactics. Have you guessed which force yet? Once again, it's the fucking Met, with tasers no less. Well, you can't be discreet when pacifists consider taking to the streets. The Metropolitan Police, London's bobbies. Their understanding of service is very shoddy. Institutionally racist right-wing thugs, responsible for yet another thing that bugs me beyond belief in this increasingly draconian state where the law criminalises love over hate. The subject of the discussion, bringing London to a halt. Just for 10 minutes is what they thought, to highlight the plight of a massacred race and to bring climate issues face to face with a society hell-bent on materialist consumption, regardless of consequence, who don't want to change because the thought is too painful to rearrange a system on which we've come to rely. Even if it poisons and causes suffering and pain, with politicians chumming up to billionaires again, who they could tax in order to save the NHS, eradicate food banks and child poverty no less. If MPs think otherwise, they must submit to the party whip, who has the members in a sadomasochistic grip, and they'll lose their massive income and be in the shit, and have to live like the rest of us. You can block the road with tractors and not get charged or imprisoned, and the farmers enlarged into heroes. No inheritance tax, any way the wind blows. Guess what? No arrests when they stopped ambulances getting through. When Extinction Rebellion closed the bridges and inconvenienced a few, they said ambulances could pass. But in fact the police force stopped them, so they could blame the protesters, which was not reported, of course. They were treated like terrorists for possibly damaging the most sacred institution, the economy. Good Lord, this can't be ignored. We must seek a drastic solution. One of the women locked up, a student journalist covering the affair, her phone, camera and laptop snatched just for being there, was held in a cell incommunicado for 16 hours, not allowed to make a call, so family and friends had no idea where she was at all. This tactic is used for serious organised crime, terrorism or spying, where there's a risk of someone dying. Think of other countries where they arrest reporters, or those who oppose regimes and their supporters. Is this the way we want to go? Where the government and the police don't want us to know what they get up to, where dissenting voices are crushed, and rights to speak or assemble are flushed down the drain, and secrets swept under the carpet again. If you dare to think differently to those who rule, rather than serve the people they fool with propaganda and media manipulation, into fear of others and foreign nations, your inappropriate ideology, now part of criminology, you'll soon be incarcerated, publicly shamed and hated. The crowds will cheer when they slam you inside, especially if you stick to your principles with pride. When non-violent protesters are treated worse than violent mobs, just for being at odds with our leaders' thinking and take up spaces in stinking prisons bursting at the seams, they are political prisoners. That's what it means. When 3,000 more serious offenders were released, some for robbery and assault, who do you want out on the streets? This country arrests 3 times as many protesters as the global norm. This should cause a political storm, but it doesn't. The Quakers, well known for their pacifist stance, thought they would give these young people a chance to meet in their quiet, sacred space, a sanctuary away from London's rat race, to air their grievances and what they might do to address them. And there were so few. But this is unacceptable to the authorities, who were elected to represent me and you.
What do you mean you don't want to kill? I don't understand. Are you mentally ill? We have no choice but to send in the old bill,
say the politicians whose mates get rich on arms sales and like to see any growth in the system, even if death boosts GDP. They'll sell to regimes that kill their own or others, regardless if that includes babies and mothers. They say the markets need this trade year on year. They don't care to whom they sell this gear. Mercenaries in any country, repressive regimes, secret services, underhand schemes, fulfilling genocidal maniacs' dreams. These are the ones who should face our derision. These are the fuckers who should be imprisoned for valuing profits over ethics and morals, counting cash as they rest on their laurels. That's why promoters of peace upset those in power, and if they ask for this planet to be safe for our children, where nature can thrive and more species survive and not be destroyed, and where rivers and oceans are clean, this is a revolutionary thought and should not be seen or heard, and in a public place disallowed. You certainly shouldn't assemble in a crowd of more than 4 people or dare to discuss the possibility of a notion potentially causing a little social commotion. This will be deemed tantamount to treason, and they'll have every reason to lock you away if you dare to obey your conscience. How long to the one-party state? You think it won't happen? I would never have believed it could have got this far, but the public's apathetic and busy, so there you are. If you didn't speak up when these laws were debated and then passed, didn't sign a petition, or couldn't be asked to write to your MP, then you must take some of the blame. And if you ignore the next lot of rules in their thought-policing game, I won't judge you as harshly as them, and I'll still think it's a shame when they bash down your door because you said stop the war, and what the fuck's going on when you realise just how much is wrong. But by then it'll be too late, because your inaction led to this police state. So, goodbye.